to my new video. This is gonna be reaction time to Fallout 4 official trailer from Prime, bro. The first ever game I played is Fallout 4, and that was 2015, bro. And that's almost a 10 years, bro. 10 years been released. Oh my god, I just cannot wait. I have not seen the trailer at all. I haven't. So let's do this.
Hello there. I'm here to show you a wonderful place. A veritable Camelot of the nuclear age. Not made by God Almighty, but the working man. You can be a hero by purchasing a residence in a Vault-Tec vault today. Because if the worst should happen tomorrow, the world is going to need you to build a better day after.
Okay. The radiation sounds. You know. Oh.
The mission of the vaults should be important to everyone.
Someone died already?
To come up to the surface one day and restart civilization.
The Vault-Tec figurine. Oh my god, you can see that.
Can you tell me what's happened in the last 200 years?
Holy shit. You're an actual vault dweller.
I am.
I thought all you dipshits were dead.
True.
What you're doing is insane.
I don't
Oh my god, this song.
accept the world.
It isn't like the vault out there. It's big.
Higher. I
Hollywood.
just want to start.
Oh, that dude.
I've had a rough week. Practically every person I've met up here has tried to kill me.
I'm simply going to harvest your organs.
In my
Oh,
You need to go home. You come from a world of rules, of laws. You should not be alone.
brother, brothers, you. The blimp.
Why did you join the Brotherhood?
To hurt the people who hurt me?
The armor.
People are going to
Oh, the good boy. The good boy.
come after you.
Ain't much stage cleanup here, Volty. Well, now that is a very small drop in a very, very large bucket of drugs.
Oh my god, that's a big number. I don't know where this one is.
Look at it.
Where?
This wasteland looks like chaos, but there's always somebody behind the wheel. But there's always somebody behind the wheel.
Don't tell me. This is the main character from Fallout 4. Oh, that's a beautiful.
What is happening here?
Everyone wants to save the world. They just agree on how.
Oh, the bloody. The good boy.
There you are, you little killer.
flame in your heart.
2024, we're cooking. Oh my god. Let's watch it again. We might miss details.
Hello there. I'm here
Hello,
to
sir.
show you a wonderful place. A veritable Camelot of the nuclear age.
Yeah,
Not
so
made
the
by God Almighty, but
figurine.
the work
All wait.
of the nuclear age. Not made by God Almighty, but
Damn, they got some
The working man.
yachts.
you can be a hero by purchasing a residence in a Vault-Tec vault today. Because if the worst should happen tomorrow, the world is going to need you to build a better day after.
The radiation, bro, sound. Well, you know you're sending radiation, like. Oh my god, I wish I have a really light pit boy. Oh, she cosplay next year as a vault dweller.
The mission of the vaults should be important to everyone. To come up to the surface one day and restart civilization. Can you tell me what's happened in the last 200 years?
Holy shit. You're an actual vault dweller.
I am.
I thought all you dipshits were dead.
What you're doing is insane.
I
don't
don't want to set the world
It isn't like the vault out there. It's big.
fire.
The song. Pile of warm memories, dog. Headphone playing to 10 p.m. 11 p.m. playing with. Oh my god. Oh.
I just want to start.
I've had a rough week. Practically every person I've met up here has tried to kill me.
I'm simply going to harvest your organs.
In my
You need to go home. You come from a world of rules, of laws. You should not be alone.
The Brotherhood.
Why did you join the Brotherhood?
To hurt the people who hurt me?
People are going to come after you.
Ain't much stage cleanup here, Volty. Well, now that
Oh
is
my
a
god.
very small drop in a very, very large bucket of drugs.
Oh my god. Oh wait, I want to see that. Like. Oh my. What the hell remind me of handy? I know the handy me, but what the hell that remind me of Financial Times? And yeah, what happened here? Why we were going?
Look at it this way, plan.
Oh, don't tell me. That's the railroad. I know there's one path for I forgot the one you initiate, the railroad, Sith, synthetic humans. Oh, and the Brotherhood still so
Looks like chaos.
California flag.
But there's always somebody behind the wheel. Chaos.
I feel like that's
But there's always somebody behind the wheel.
so that's the city. Imagine this the because I remember Falafel intro, you had to run in a mountains to I love that. The good boy.
What is happening here?
Everyone wants to save the world. They disagree on how.
There you are,
The pit boy. That looks so real.
you little killer.
Goosebumps, boy. Pure goosebumps. Nah, launch trailer, nah. Okay, what's the breakdown?
Wonderful.
With Cooper Zentward, aka the Ghoul, standing in front of Vault 4 for the Fallout TV show opens up with Cooper Howard, aka the Ghoul, standing in front of Vault 4. This character is played by Walton Goggins, and to a certain degree, it almost feels like the Ghoul and Cooper Howard are two separate characters. The Ghoul is one of the main protagonists of this show, but it's now been several hundred years since he was in his human form as Cooper Howard. But we do know that he was an actor in westerns and even a Vault-Tec spokesperson. Here, we are seemingly seeing one of his presentations in front of the never-before-seen Vault 4. This was first introduced by this trailer, and it seems pretty likely that this will be a demo vault used to get people to sign up. A bit later into the trailer, we get to see one of his ads he created for Vault-Tec playing at an old-timey TV, seemingly inside of a vault somewhere. We then have a scene of a bunch of Vault Dwellers setting up for some kind of ceremony. The shot's really interesting and maybe a bit of an insight into what's going on with this particular vault. We have this projection of farmland in the background, with the camera reading telesonic magic of 3D. So they're effectively simulating that outside world feel from inside the vault, which perhaps is one of the experiments going on in Vault 33. And one of the biggest standouts from some of these vault shots is just how insanely accurate this is. If you played a Fallout game recently, you probably recognize that, but if you actually jump back into Fallout 4 right now, you'll realize that no, this is like point for point perfect. So many of even the minor details are spot on to Fallout 4, even down to the side support pieces looking pretty much identical to what we have in game, including the accurate triangle bolts. All throughout this trailer, you'll notice a clear passion from those that are creating these sets and props for this show. We then cut to a closer look at the ceremony setup, and one of the interesting parts is all of these crops are really here. It seems like this may genuinely be the Vault Dwellers' food supplies, and this guy waving is the Vault 33 Overseer and also Lucy's dad. Lucy is the other main protagonist of the Fallout TV show, played by Ella Purnell. And everyone here seems surprisingly happy. Like I mentioned before, lots of vaults have these experiments, and many are dark and absolutely horrific. It seems like in Vault 33, either it's a control vault with no experiment going on, or the experiment's not that bad because a lot of these inhabitants just seem to genuinely be enjoying what they're doing. Although that enjoyment is definitely short-lived. Much later on in the trailer, we cut back to the same scene in absolute chaos. Lucy's dad looks quite distressed, and it seems likely that this was a wedding of some kind. We see someone running out in a white dress, and many of the Vault Dwellers now dead or unconscious. In the last trailer, we saw several shots of Vault Dwellers going crazy, and I have to imagine that is what's occurring here. We're seeing the aftermath of this destruction and battle. Although what actually caused
Oh shoot,
this chaos is still totally unknown. Perhaps that's the real vault experiment. And even this jukebox off to the side seems to be the same jukebox that ends up getting splattered. We then cut to this outside panning shot. We've seen this in other trailers, but it's a pretty important one. This is Santa Monica Pier in California, and very notably we could see the entrance to Vault 33 right off to the side here. But what to me was easily one of the most interesting of the shots shared in this new trailer is this one of the Shady Sands Public Library, and very notably a giant crater right next to it. Shady Sands is a huge location in both Fallout 1 and 2. In Fallout 1, it's really the first major settlement you go to after you leave the vault for the first time. But perhaps more relevant to the TV show, this grew into a full-on NCR town for Fallout 2, and it was the NCR's main city in Fallout 2. So is this shot suggesting that one of the NCR's main towns is now a giant crater, or is this just a crater that happens to be near Shady Sands? The last time we see the NCR in the video game, they have a major presence in California, but by the time of the show, we're barely seeing them, only just one battle scene that we'll talk about a little bit later. But at the very least, it looks like we're going to be getting an explanation on whatever happened. We get our first proper look at Lucy, a seemingly innocent Vault 33 dweller that is thrust into the waste for an apparent rescue mission. At least that's what we've heard from past interviews. And from what we've seen thus far, it really seems like a lot of this story is going to be explained from her perspective. She's that vault dweller going into the wasteland for the first time, basically what we do in many of the games. So it's very likely we'll be seeing the wasteland through her eyes and interpreting many of the events based off how she interprets them. In this voiceover, she mentions coming to the surface to restart civilization, suggesting that she is fully bought into those rose-tinted glass vault ideals. But then we cut to a later shot of Lucy fully out of the vault and walking into a shop, and this exchange with the shopkeeper is really interesting. The shopkeeper is both shocked to be seeing a vault dweller, but also immediately doesn't like Lucy and vault dwellers in general. So in the Fallout TV show, vault dwellers will not only be a rarity, but the broader world has opinions and perceptions on them. That's one of those things we've only seen a little bit of in the games, and it looks like they'll be exploring it a bit more in the TV show. And around this shop, there are a lot of really cool props. We can see what almost looks like a Cazador wing sitting right here next to some stim packs and a bobblehead, but also several familiar weapons on this wall: a plasma pistol, lever action rifle.
Wait, where's the plasma pistol? I know this. Oh, the game. Machete. What's the plasma pistol, bro?
Machete and some other stuff I can't really make out. Overall in this trailer, there are quite a few panning shots of Lucy just exploring around. This honestly looks pretty aimless and like she wasn't prepared to see all of this or doesn't have a destination in mind. We hear this character inside the vault trying to warn her before leaving, and overall it seems like they're really painting a picture of this naive vault dweller going out into the wasteland, very likely trying to show her evolution into a proper wastelander over the course of the story, which of course is a parallel to what we experience as we go through the games. But then perhaps one of the most revealing shots for the overarching story, we then cut to Lucy holding a head. Not entirely sure whose head this is or why Lucy is carrying it, but it looks relatively early. We still see Lucy in her vault getup and she's on her own. We know that the three main protagonists do come together at some point, but that hasn't happened yet. In the last trailer, we see Lucy getting scared of tumbleweeds, but now we see her comfortable carrying a severed head. It seems like quite the extreme jump, and I imagine we're going to see Lucy get a real raw treatment from the wasteland. The predominant speculation online right now is this is the Red Man's head, otherwise known as Wilzig. It's the character from the last trailer that had the red glowing light on their face that showed up with the dog. And he pops up in this trailer a couple of times as well, later in Philly, but most notably we also get a quick shot of him injecting something into his neck/head. This is where a lot of the speculation stemming from. It seems likely that whatever this is being injected, we actually get a closer up shot of whatever it is in the Japanese version of the trailer, but whatever that is the important thing in why Lucy's carrying around a head. And she may be doing this for a while. Later on in this trailer, we can see Lucy has a bag with her, and what a lot of you have noticed and actually sent to me is in many of the pieces of character art around Lucy, the same bag can be seen with some blood on it. It does kind of look like a bag that would fit a head, so perhaps for a decent chunk of the series, Lucy's carrying around a head in this bag. And this all could tie together in an interesting way. Later on, we see Lucy finds a bottle of some kind of poison that reads Vault-Tec Plan something, it almost looks like Vault-Tec Plan B, named Econo Savings Pack, and you can't make out the rest of the word. This scene makes me think that perhaps one of the plot lines is uncovering some of the cruel experimentation that goes on. We saw this guy with one eye, and I just assume this is some kind of Vault-Tec experiment, and Lucy seems like the perfect character to uncover some of the darkness of Vault-Tec. From this trailer, it really seems like Lucy believes in the core ideals of Vault-Tec, so her gradually uncovering that in reality they're a very messed up organization would be a pretty interesting plot point for the show. I imagine this bottle of poison is likely going to be connected to one of those experiments, and it's why she's having this crude reaction. We don't know much about who Wilzig is or isn't, but here it definitely looks like he's wearing a lab coat, but maybe he is a scientist related to all of this somehow. Hollywood Boulevard's that iconic street with the Walk of Fame stars, so seeing this flooded out is meant to reflect just how far gone society is at this point. This is the scene where Lucy finally has the bag, but also very notably she walks up with her hand on her weapon, this likely reflecting some of the very quick character growth she has had to go through. And this seems confirmed in the next scene as we do see her injured on her arm. We then immediately cut to the characters finally interacting as we see the ghoul putting Lucy at gunpoint. The ghoul's wielding a new weapon for the Fallout franchise here with the MTS-255. This is a revolver shotgun, and funny enough, it's actually a very popular mod already for Fallout 4. And a pretty interesting choice for the ghoul as this is a communist weapon. The MTS-255 was developed by Russia in real life. The ghoul seems to reek of Americana, especially as he was Cooper Howard in a past life, so perhaps him using a Russian shotgun shotgun is a clue at something, or perhaps I'm just reading way too deeply into this. We could also see he has a variety of shell types at his disposal, and we'll get to see him use a couple of these in a moment. Lucy's notably more injured here. Her vault suit is torn and her arm is clearly hurt, and I think this is a clue that this is one of the later scenes we've seen of the show. If you look, many of the times we see Lucy, her vault suit is not damaged. All of these scenes in Philly, as well as many others, have her arm totally fine. And in the Japanese version of the trailer, there's some extra scenes that may fit in around all of this. We can see Lucy is on the run with her hands bound and even missing a shoe. In the next shot, someone lassos her, and I suspect this is the ghoul, because of course he used to play in westerns, so he probably knows how to use a lasso. We then cut to a later scene where Lucy's barely wearing her vault suit anymore, and she mentions how everyone she's encountered this week has tried to kill her. It really does seem to suggest that a big part of the show, at least early on, is going to be us seeing Lucy go through it. If this trailer is anything to go off of, she's getting the majority of the screen time, and a lot of bad stuff seems to be happening to her, such as in the Kitty Playland. Lucy comes up against a very accurate looking Mr. Handy, who intends to harvest her organs and hits her with a syringer shot. There are a ton of really cool details in this scene though. The Mr. Handy, of course, looks amazing, but a lot of these medical supplies off to the side are also spot on. On the shelf we could see antibiotics, Rad-X, and maybe even some Buff Out, and Lucy has her own set of new injuries here. She's covered in blood and her finger is now blue. It looks like circulation was cut off, or maybe she has a serious cut there. And here again she is missing a shoe, which honestly seems absolutely disastrous in the wasteland, and more's to come because at this point she doesn't even have her arm injury yet. And things get even worse here as this Mr. Handy does seem to get pretty close to operating on Lucy. I do wonder what ends up saving her. We get a few more shots from inside the vault, and once again let me just highlight how insanely accurate this hallway is to Fallout 4. Like, it is a near perfect recreation. But we have this image of the pregnant woman and Lucy wrenching around, but it almost looks like this is fake. Like they're doing a photo op as opposed to actually being on maintenance duty. What is the pregnant woman even using the wrench on? It doesn't look like it would fit on anything even remotely near her. But what many of you may not realize is you probably already know this woman. This is the same lady who gets the fork in her eye and is blasting people away with her SMG. We learned in a past interview that this guy is Lucy's brother. I imagine this scene's right before she exits the vault, and it seems like she's exiting the vault under duress to some degree. In other shots, we've seen other people come up and someone's even laying on the ground as she leaves, but her brother does seem to stay behind. It almost looks like Lucy's comforting her brother as she grabs his head here. I wouldn't be shocked if we get some wasteland adventures from Lucy, but periodically are cutting back to her brother's perspective inside the vault to see whatever's going on there. But then finally we get a look at the third major protagonist with Maximus, played by Aaron Moten. Maximus is a part of the Brotherhood of Steel, and they are looking pretty healthy here. One of the big unknowns in the Fallout TV show, like I mentioned before, is what actually happened with the Brotherhood. The last we see, they're at war with the NCR, and the Brotherhood are largely hiding and forced underground. Clearly here, they aren't hiding any longer. One of the interesting parts about this scene is what the Brotherhood are wearing. It looks like many of them are sporting holotags, just like what we have in the game. And as we do cut to the power armor shot, we can see both the power armor and assault rifle are perfectly accurate to the video game. It's honestly insane how close this all is, which is what makes it a bit more interesting that basically none of these Brotherhood outfits are accurate to the game. Some, like Maximus's outfit here, do share a similar DNA, but they're clearly quite different. We know the Brotherhood of Steel in the TV show will have this new airship known as the Casowanon, but of course looks almost identical to the Prydwen, but we don't really know how or why it came to be. But with all this in mind and how accurate some parts of the show are, but then we clearly see the Brotherhood here having a bit of a different style, I have to wonder if this was just a deliberate choice to have the Brotherhood of Steel here have a bit of their own identity, and perhaps some of that is distinct looking clothing. I mean, if anything, this dude's outfit looks far more comparable to an Enclave officer uniform we've seen from past games as opposed to anything the Brotherhood used. Based on the timing and sequence of these scenes, it seems like this is a flashback where we see a young Maximus interacting with a Brotherhood knight, perhaps for the first time. This cut is in the exact same location as the scar on Maximus's face, and it almost looks like Maximus here is in a vertibird. We hear how he joined the Brotherhood of Steel to hurt the people who hurt him, and based off the number of scars he has, it definitely seems like he's been through it as well. But as we cut to him in his own suit of armor, he looks cold and like he's ready to deliver vengeance. Through all of the marketing material, we have seen this scratch on the power armor that Maximus is wearing. It's likely a device used by the show to identify which of the Brotherhood Knights are Maximus when they have power armor on, and we see this power armor helmet open up Iron Man style. Of course, this isn't a thing in the games. In the games, they just take their helmet off, but honestly, I think this makes a lot of sense. From a lore perspective, being able to use power armor and actually eat things is important. Running further, from a TV show perspective, being able to actually film an actor's face easily without them having to remove their entire helmet just makes a ton of sense. But one of the other big questions I have around the Fallout TV show is what on earth is going on with Dogmeat, or just this dog? As of right now, I'm not entirely sure the dog's name even is Dogmeat. The first time we see the dog, he's around Wilzig. Lucy's right across from them, and it seems like Dogmeat's taking out a Radroach. But now we find him partnering up with the Ghoul, and it appears like this is where he ends up staying, because he does appear in the character art with the Ghoul. So are there multiple dogs here? Did this dog change teams? Off to the side, it looks like we do have Slocum's Joe, which is another cool little detail. We then cut to what appears to be more footage in Philly. This is that town that we get a pretty extensive look at in the last trailer. We can see Wilzig, the shopkeeper, and Lucy all together and seemingly in a standoff with the Ghoul. It's not really clear what this little bottle that the Ghoul is holding is. At first glance, it almost looked like a partially used Rad-X, but that wouldn't make sense because he's a Ghoul, he's already immune to radiation. But from the looks of things, these parties are at odds. Even before combat breaks out, everyone in Philly is already staring at the Ghoul, who then absolutely massacres a passerby. He creates a rather large hole in that person with whatever type of ammo he is using, perhaps some kind of explosive ammo based off some of those unique slugs he had on his bandolier. And if some of those shots from the previous trailer didn't make it clear enough, it very much so seems like the Ghoul can handle himself. It appears he takes out most of the town in this one scene, and here we can see he has even incapacitated the shopkeeper as well as Wilzig. In fact, it looks like Wilzig has lost his foot entirely in the conflict. Lucy ends up shooting the Ghoul, who is totally unaffected by her Syringer round. We've seen Lucy's weapon in the past, and it too is a new addition to Fallout. The Ghoul has this cute line about drugs not really impacting him, and I'm curious as to why. Seemingly this should work, but perhaps there is some deeper lore or story here. We have heard how the Ghoul's unusual appearance, even for a Ghoul, will be explained, and perhaps this is all connected. Maybe he is some kind of special Ghoul, and that's why this Syringer round also does nothing. And I also suspect that's where this special juice comes into play. He's toying with it here, but in later scenes we can see him really salivating over whatever it is he just consumed from this little bottle. Perhaps this is just enhancing his abilities in some way, or maybe it's doing a bit more. I think there is an interesting commentary on both of these characters going on here though, with what weapons they're using. Lucy is this idealistic vault dweller who's firing Syringer rounds. And while yeah, you can have poisonous Syringer rounds, they also can just be used to knock out individuals instead of killing them outright. Conversely, the battle-hardened Ghoul, who lost his family, uses this sawed-off shotgun with rounds that are literally blowing holes in people. Considering they're two very prominent characters and using two completely new weapons for the show, I have a feeling that this is all actually meaning something. But none of this may matter, because I may end up boycotting the Fallout TV show anyway, because if you look, you could see a very not okay looking dog. I presume this is the Ghoul's dog, and if somebody attacked it, I totally understand why he massacred the entire town. Perhaps the Fallout TV show is really just John Wick post-apocalyptic version. It does look like the dog's ears twitching here, so maybe the dog is still alive, but I'm going to need some answers ASAP from Prime Video because this is just not okay. Although there actually is some hope a bit later in the trailer. We'll return to the dog, don't worry. We then cut to a scene with Maximus charging the Ghoul in his set of scratched up power armor right in the center of Philly. This seems to suggest that all three of the characters are going to be in Philly at some point, but then there's also going to be later points where they'll meet up again. So seemingly our three main protagonists interact several times before actually joining up. Although directly after Philly, we do see a bunch of scenes of Lucy and Maximus teaming up, although Maximus no longer has his power armor. Later on in the trailer, we have this panning shot of someone in power armor, probably Maximus, reacting to this creature. It very much so looks like it's going to be a Fallout gulper, but the fingers in the mouth and the strands in the back of the head are new, so regardless of whatever this creature is, it looks awesome and terrifying. And this flooded area definitely looks pretty similar to the Hollywood Boulevard area we saw earlier with Lucy and the Ghoul. Immediately after the power armor shot, it cuts to Lucy and the dog on the side, and assuming Dogmeat is really with the Ghoul at this point, this could mean we're seeing one of the first scenes where all three of the main characters are actually together in this flooded area. But also interestingly, it seems like Lucy is going to be traveling with just the Ghoul and just Maximus at various points. We see her and the Ghoul going into a really well done super duper mart, but then at another point we see her with Maximus and really several scenes with Maximus and Lucy together. It really seems like Lucy is going to be the most malleable of the group, just going into the wasteland for the first time, so perhaps perhaps both the Ghoul and Maximus will try and apply their own ideologies onto her. This shot is also the hope, for me at least, that Dogmeat is in fact alive. Here we see Lucy with her arm injured again, so that does seem to confirm that this is after the Philly fight because her arm isn't injured in that scene. So unless this is another dog, there is definitely a dog later on in the show, so hopefully Dogmeat lives. Like I've been mentioning this whole time, we do get quite a few scenes of Maximus and Lucy that really make it seem like they are bonding on their wasteland travels. Maximus seemingly loses power armor at some point, and we do get this very game-accurate Brotherhood uniform that he's wearing. But one of my favorite details thus far that comes from this is Lucy upgrades her armor to an armored vault suit from a regular one. This likely being a reflection of her character's growth, but just a really cool detail. There weren't any armored vault suits in Fallout 4, but in previous Fallout games you did have those as an option. And even her weapons change, as Lucy's now sporting a 10mm pistol, which also looks amazing, but is considerably more lethal than a syringer. In the background of this shot, you can see the deactivated power armor, and then we have what is easily one of the coolest shots from the trailer with the Battle of the Griffith Observatory. This is a real-life location just outside of LA, and it seems like here the Brotherhood of Steel are moving in via Vertibird to an NCR base at the Griffith Observatory. So finally, we have official confirmation that yes, the NCR are in fact in the Fallout TV show, although it definitely looks like they have lost some power. We just haven't seen all of them in this show, and even when we do see them, they look strong, but not quite the same height they were at the times of New Vegas. Power armor in the TV show will be appropriately strong. It's tanking a ton of automatic fire from this SMG at point blank range. And the NCR here are using quite a few World War II era weapons. It looks like this is a Sten, similar to what we saw in some of the previous Vault scenes. This looks like an STG-44. Here it looks like we have a grease gun, but perhaps most exciting from the scene, it also looks like we have an NCR Ranger off to the side. It is a bit hard to make out, but I'm pretty sure this character is wearing a red visor and a full suit of NCR Ranger armor. There's also a different shot of the same scene in the Japanese trailer and shows off some more Brotherhood knights with flags, and finally somebody actually using the assault rifle in power armor. One of the pretty interesting parts about this show is most of the time we see somebody in power armor, they're fighting with their hands. They're not actually using a weapon for some reason. Of course, this is just based off a couple of minutes from a couple of trailers, but it is interesting. And the NCR runout scenes also have a lot of cool game accurate props. This laser pistol is spot on, but also some very accurate combat armor, even down to this character only wearing a partial set of combat armor, just like many NPCs in the game do. We get a look at the Ghoul reminiscing about his old self as a Western action star, but also some nice Halloween decorations in the background. In Fallout, the bombs dropped on October 27th, so many houses and stores have Halloween decorations out. But there's also going to be some pre-war content. We get a look at the day the bombs dropped in California. This looks like a nice backyard somewhere. It looks like it's overlooking LA. We can see Cooper Howard running around in an outfit that seems to be matching the outfit worn by his daughter. Very interestingly, this outfit is also in the Vault-Tec color scheme. Considering Cooper Howard was a movie star, I have to imagine that this house is his. Towards the end of the trailer, we get quite a few shots from within the vault, and although these are kind of hard to place in the broader picture, they definitely are telling. We see Maximus aggressively walking through the vault, our fork-eye pregnant lady making eyes with Lucy's brother, a cake, which is probably just a part of the wedding, but then something exploding as bomb visuals go off on the big projector screen in the background. There isn't really a ton to break down from some of these scenes, but the larger takeaway I have is that we're going to be getting a healthy amount of in-vault content. It definitely looks like even after Lucy leaves, we'll be cutting back to the vault for updates on whatever's going on there. And one of the things to get me most excited here is it looks like we're going to have some pre-war stuff exploring Cooper Howard a bit more and likely what he lost as a part of the bombs dropping. It very much so looks like this is his wife and they are in a vault, and I imagine the flashbacks will be a plot device to explain why he is so brutal now. We're going to see the terrible tragedy he went through. Absolutely phenomenal. If you feel like there's of the new person that came out on the other side. Overall, I thought this new trailer was absolutely phenomenal. If you feel like there's anything I missed, let me just look at this video because there might be more than just a Fallout TV show coming in the next couple of weeks.
In which case...
Oh, really? Really?
Now, I acknowledge that I'm unfamiliar with your circumstances, but at first glance, your treatment of this man appears unfair, and I'm obliged to intervene. Now, if your instinct is to harm me, as a person simply trying to de-escalate a conflict, then I'll have to assume of the two of you, you are likely the primary aggressor. In which case, I think everyone in this town would agree the forest down.
And a very, very large bucket of drugs.
She said stand down.
Oh. The mod. Oh.
Or be cut down. Heard of steel, stand down, or be cut down.
You gotta be fucking kidding me.
We saw a little bit of short film, you know. So this is a good teaser.
Life.
Endangered species need to go home. Vault dwellers are an endangered species.
Oh, didn't say.
I do not think you would be willing to do what it takes to survive up here. Dang.
Tomorrow. Tomorrow's.
Oh my God.
So they say will be a lovely day. A bright new sun will suddenly break through. But I don't less to see tomorrow unless I see it with you.
And grab the moldy one.
Oh. The bear. Oh my God. Again. Oh my God. That's Oxley. So he grabbed his daughter. Okay, so basically he grabbed the daughter somewhere and he was riding her okay. Well, it's gonna be a messy movie. Since what the hell is this? Oh, that's for something else. Okay, so oh my God, that fan. So we saw the official trailer, the first scene, and the teaser trailer. Wait, he's a clown?
まさに核の時代の傑作と言えます。
それを作ったのは神ではなく
God,
人
yeah,
なの
it's
で
a
す。
god. Yeah.
生きてボルト居住者なんだね。
そうです。
みんな死んだと思ってたよ。バーブ、こっちへ来ないよ。この人を見とくれ。
いろいろあってね。
ルールと法律みんなまだあまりすぎやりやがったな、このクソ女。
I miss that thing. Okay. Well, thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys. Beautiful boys and girls. My first reaction to the of the Fallout 4 series, Fallout 4 series TV show coming out April 11th next month of 2024. Oh my god, Amazon getting cooked, bro. They cooking stuff. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.